Hey there, how's it going? So today I wanted to talk about the Daiwa Alphas Air TW. It is one of the most popular reels on the market, and I've been fishing with it the last 4 months, and now I'm ready to say, should you get this reel or not, at least in my opinion. Let's start with the positives. This is, in my opinion, one of the better looking reels on the market. The combination of the gray and the red with the little chrome accents, it's really a nice looking reel. I think it's easy to pair with a lot of different rods if you're into the cosmetics, so that's a nice thing. Second really positive thing about this reel is it was really easy to dial in. It didn't take me that long at all to get this to the point where I virtually didn't have any backlashes. Every once in a while you'd make a bad cast or something and you'd get a little thing, but this was a very, very easy reel to dial in. So I think that's a huge benefit. And the third thing that I did like about it, this reel casts pretty well. It's not the longest casting reel that I had, but it was probably the most consistently, above average distance reel until recently. And then I had to spend $100 more than this to get something that cast better. So those are the good things, and it's known for that. It's known to be a really good casting reel, and obviously the looks are self-explanatory. If you like that sort of sexy gray, black, and red look, it works great for you. And I fished with this reel a lot. Really over the 4 months, this probably every one of those months, this one had more fishing trips than any other reel that I had. But I got to tell you, out of the 4 different modern Bait FInesse reels that I've used, there was the Surinoya Dark Wolf Ultra, the Daiwa Silver Creek Air Stream Custom, and then lately the Shimano 22 Aldebaran BFS. This is my least favorite reel, and there's a couple main reasons why, and then a couple that is just sort of hard for me to put some really objective, measurable things to it. So let's talk about the things that I can very easily put my finger on. One is it doesn't have a clicking drag. So when a fish is pulling out line, you don't necessarily know that. And so I find myself looking at the reel quite often. And I don't like that. I don't like to make the reel the focus of my fishing. I want the presentation of the lure and the battle with the fish to really be what I'm focused on. I don't want to think about the reel. I don't want to always be having to pay attention to the reel. And I think that brings me to sort of the intangible part of it. This reel just feels very mechanical. It's not super smooth. It's not as smooth as the Dark Wolf Ultra. Actually, it's not as smooth as any of the other reels that I'm using. You can feel it. You can feel it. It has just a little bit of there's just almost like a little bit of a vibration as you're reeling, so you feel that on a regular basis. The handle does make some noise, and I'm shaking a little bit here to replicate the noise, but I hear that when I'm fishing sometimes too, and so that bothers me a little bit, and it really never got to the point where I felt like this reel I was just fishing with it. It became an extension of what I wanted to do. I felt like I was always thinking about what I was trying to do with this reel. So for that reason, I find it hard to recommend this reel. At its price point, you can spend maybe another $100 and get a much, much better reel in the Aldebaran or the Silver Creek, or you can spend $75, which is 1/3 the price, maybe even a little less than that, and get the Surinoya Dark Wolf Ultra, which I think overall is a better performing reel. It's more comfortable in the hand. It casts a little bit longer. It just works better than this reel did, at least over the 4 months that I used it. So all that being said, I just don't think that this reel is worth the money. Now I know there's a lot of people that love this reel, and it was the first one that I had. It was the first Bait FInesse reel that I started with because it's got such rave reviews and a bunch of fans with it. But I think for me it comes down to if you really if the reel is the biggest part of why you're fishing, and it's not the experience and the fight of the fish, and you know, if the reel is the reason, rather than just being a tool that you want to sort of blend into the experience, then sure, get the Daiwa Alphas Air. But for me, you know, really what I'm looking to do is I'm looking just to, you know, fishing is always meditation to me. And so I don't always want to be fiddling and be reminded that I have this mechanical, noisy, whirring reel in between me and the fish. And maybe that sounds weird, but you know, for a while I actually wondered, is it the rod? And so I had it on the Major Craft Benkei rod. And I started wondering, well, is it the rod? Because I didn't feel like I liked this rod as much as some of the other rods that I had either. So I actually put the Alphas Air on the Kuying Teton, and I liked it a little bit better there, but it still wasn't a great feeling experience. I feel like all the other reels that I have, especially with Bait FInesse, you know, you have this light presentation. You're really trying to get a nice, smooth, almost organic experience in the fishing that you're doing. And for me, the Alphas Air just doesn't deliver on that. So if you're a beginner, I would say there are many other options, and I'll try some other similarly priced reels. Maybe the Shimano Scorpion would be a good contender, the Corrado, the SLX. I think all of those are in a similar price range to this reel, and so maybe I'll try those at some point. But I think you can just spend less and buy the Dark Wolf Ultra or something similar. The Casking Zephyr has a lot of good reviews on it as well. I haven't used it. But to spend this much on a reel and then just sort of not be able to connect with it, I can't see doing that as a beginner. Now, if you're experienced and you know that there's something specific that this reel does that you want it to do, then hey, go for it. But it's not going to be staying in my collection. You know, it'll be passed on to somebody else who will appreciate it more than me. Maybe this is a bit of a surprise. Typically, you know, you see people do reviews of products, and especially Bait FInesse stuff, and they're always about how great they are. It's part of why it took me 4 months to do the review. I wanted to make sure that I gave this every option that it could, and some of the other stuff I didn't fish with was because I was fishing with this a lot. I wasn't looking forward to it. It's not that the fishing wasn't fun. It just felt like, okay, it's a chore, and I got to take the Alphas Air out again. And even on some of my other videos, it became a joke that, you know, it's the curse of the Alphas Air. I couldn't have any good days, and one day I finally had a really good day. You know, most productive day of the year so far was with this reel. So it's not like I didn't catch fish on it, but the joke was like, oh hey, actually a good day fishing with the Alphas Air. And actually, when I think about it, that was probably the last day I fished with it, because at that point I knew, like, I'd caught over 25 fish in one day in just a couple hours on this reel, and I still didn't love it, right? It still was like, you know, I felt like maybe I would have caught more with a different reel. You know, it's a great looking reel. It's probably decent value for what it is, but I just think there are so much better options out there. That's the Alphas Air, it and the Benkei actually, and both of those are going to be moved on to somebody else. They just don't give me the joy and the experience that I like compared to virtually every other Bait FInesse product that I've used. You know, whether it's a reel, whether it's rod, every other experience has been more satisfactory and more pleasing than the Alphas Air and then the Benkei rod as well. And so just to be clear, I'm not bashing on Daiwa, I'm not bashing on Major Craft, because one of my other favorite reels is a Daiwa. It's the, you know, Silver Creek Stream Custom, and by far one of my favorite rods is a Major Craft, and it's the fine tail glass. So I like those companies, I like some of their products. It's just these particular ones, I don't think that they're the best options out there, especially for a beginner. They don't really give you that true joy that most of the other Bait FInesse products that I've used give you. It's my honest opinion. Obviously not a paid endorsement in any way. You know, I'll continue to leave reviews of the other products that I like, and it's just in this case, I can't recommend the Alphas Air. Appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, leave them below. One question may come up, which line did I use? Primarily it was the Verivis Bait FInesse braid is what I used on this. It was a really good line, but I never really, I was going to try some different lines, and I just got to the point where I said, you know, it's just the way the reel feels just doesn't do it for me. So that's probably one question. And like I said, I've probably caught 35, 40 fish on it over those 4 months. There was a lot of days I took it out, I didn't catch anything. Yeah, I'd really like to know what a fish feels like on this. This is the 4th trip out with this, and haven't been able to get lucky. Like I said, if you have any questions, you have any comments, leave them below. If you love the reel, let people know why in the comments. That'd be great. You know, defend one of your favorites, whatever. But like I said, it's just not for me. Not staying in my collection. So thanks for watching. Bye.